Going on, y'all? Welcome back. I've been getting a little work done. Uh, Went to the store and got me a new fan. Oh yeah, that'll do it. So I told y'all I had a buddy of mine's gears that I needed to set up out of a I don't know, late '80s 4Runner, 8-inch rear, 7.5 front IFS. Had to do a bunch of work to my solvent tank yesterday to get it even going enough to clean the parts. There's the front chunk, and then the rest of the stuff. There's all the bolts, and here's all the pieces I got cleaned up, axle shafts and everything like that. Finally got everything cleaned. Had to clean out the solvent tank, and I was kind of on the fence about what to put in it. And tell you what, mineral spirits is way too expensive. So I just took a little bit of that tractor fuel, filled me up a 5-gallon bucket, and dumped it in there. So now I got some red diesel fuel in here. But she's cleaned out and got some good fluids in her. Clean's good. Diesel fuel is a hell of a good solvent. Of course, I've been working on some other things. Something under this fan box. See what we got under here. Oh, what's that? Oh, look at it. How about that? I assembled my pistons and rods. Got some extra ARP Ultra Torque lube on there. Went ahead and put the bearings in it. Just to, kind of keep them together. In the past, when I've built engines, I'm not really fond of a lot of assembly lubes because they're messy as crap. You end up getting them everywhere, and you end up having to re-clean stuff before you can put it together. Because if you put gaskets over some kind of thick, greasy red or green lubes, well, you got to clean the shit off first. So I'm really fond of this Redline assembly lube. It does not run off. It's nice and slick. It sticks, and it's easy to use. You just get you a little brush here. You brush on what you need, and I just like it a hell of a lot better. You can see it is not running. It's nice and thick. Don't run away. I may have got a little too much on there, but because there's really tight clearances in here, even though you put just a little bit in there, as soon as you push that pin in there, well, I mean, it stuffs it all to one side. But man, I really like this stuff. I mean, she's super slick. It sticks. I like it. I've used it for many years. There's sometimes I'll use some of that, what is it, Permatex Ultra Slick, but that stuff seems to run away. Well, I say run away, it'll, leak out of where you put it. And it seems to get too sticky. I've noticed the rotating force on some engines that I build with that stuff in it seems more because that stuff is so sticky. Now this stuff it's not exactly sticky. It is ultra slick. It's easy to put on. I don't know. I just like it. I do have some of that. I don't know where it is. I got stuff everywhere. My cabinet full of goodies. Well, I don't know where it is. It's a little squeeze bottle of assembly lube. It's green. Well, I don't know what I've done with it. Anyway, I really like that stuff. Sticks to bearings. It washes off in the motor. I really like it. I do not coat piston rings with it. And I don't care what people tell you or what you've seen. Do not use assembly lube on piston rings. Only oil. You notice that says synthetic. You put that on a piston ring, it is not going to break in, and it will gum up the rings. So will assembly lube. Only oil. So I've got me a little oil squirting can right there, and I fill her up with some Rotella, and install the rings, squirt it on the rings, put a little on the cylinder. But dear God, don't use assembly lube. I have pulled apart engines before with stuck rings that were built 5,000 miles ago, and they've got that assembly lube. It's so sticky. It's like once it gets hot, it turns into some kind of, I don't know, it like turns into hard carbon, and it will actually stick a ring. So just use engine oil on rings, not assembly lube. Now, I ain't going to tell you what to do. You can do whatever you want. I'm just telling you from experience. I do not use assembly lube on piston rings. Only oil. Now, I will use this same assembly lube on my bearings because it will not run out. It will not drip off. And it's much easier to use. When you're knocking pistons and rods in and everything, I hate to have to go back and clean the deck surface with towels and brake clean and stuff like that. I want everything to be nice and clean. I want to oil my pistons, knock them in, and only have to clean a minimal amount of the deck surface for me to put my head gasket on. I'm weirdly anal about things like that. I like to have a very, very clean build. Anyway, so now that I got all these parts cleaned, I'm gonna start assembling some gears here in a second. I got to go back to work tonight, so I better take me a nap here in a minute. But at least I got those clean, and it's gonna free up some bench space because they've been hanging out over here for, I don't know, quite a while with my stack of shims. I ain't built a gear set in my life. So I need to finish getting that put together. I know he's ready for him. He come over one day, he brought me the rear chunk and the front chunk. The rear set up perfect. I sent it on with him. And I had a problem with the gear set from a manufacturer that I've never liked to use before, but it was the only one he could find that had the gear set that he needed. I will never use this manufacturer again, because when I called them and asked them why their gears would not set up, the guy said, "Well, you don't know what you're doing." Well, why don't you come to Tennessee and tell me that? I've been doing gears for a long time. I used to do it as a profession. I've done gear sets and things I care not to tell you I've put gear sets in. I know how to set up a set of gears. And I know that when you take all of the shim off the pinion, and that pinion is still so deep that it runs into the side of the carrier, somebody cut them gears wrong. If you can't take no shim away and the end of that pinion runs into your carrier, there's something wrong with that gear set. So I ended up doing a bunch of measuring, and I took it to a buddy of mine, and he stuck it on the lathe, and he cut 30 thousandths off that pinion. So now I should be able to stuff the bearing on it, put it in, and get me a decent wear pattern out of it. But for me to have to take a pinion shaft and have somebody cut 30 thousandths off of it, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to say the manufacturer of the gears, because to each his own. I've used a ton of gear sets. I've always been fond of Yukons. I put Yukons in a ton of stuff. I've put factory AAM gears and stuff. I've run the G2 gears. I guess it's like 4 parts. I've run nitro gears. I've been happy with the nitro gears. I put nitros in the back of my Ranger 411. And when I called the guy, I told him, what I was doing and what I wanted. And I wanted a crush sleeve eliminator and all that. Well, the way they cut the gear set eliminates all kind of stuff. So when I put the crush sleeve eliminator in there, I had one 10,000th shim on top of crush sleeve eliminator. And I got my bearing preload. And I was also able to take the stock shim out and put the bearing straight on the pinion, and I had a perfect wear pattern. I mean, dead nuts by the book wear pattern. Come out beautiful. And I was able to reuse my side shims and flop them side to side and come out with a perfect backlash. I had 6.5 thousandths on backlash. So they were cut awesome. That was one of the easiest set of gears I've ever had to set up. And that was putting in a Detroit True Track on top of that, so it wasn't even a factory carrier. But that was a super easy set of gears. I put Yukons in my 4Runner. Well, quite a few sets of Yukons. I've got Yukons in my big Bronco. But I mean, I've always been super happy with Yukon. Nitro, I'm pretty fond of. I put, let's see, there was somebody else. Oh, I think I put a set of Nitro gears in a buddy of mine's F250, a 6-liter on 40s. And they set up pretty nice. The front gave me a little bit of trouble. I had to play with some pinion shims to get it right, but the gear set was cut nice. And you can tell they dyno the gears because when they come, they have a wear pattern in them already. Like they've put them on a dyno and run them to make sure that they mesh correctly and everything. But they almost look used, but they actually put them on a dyno and run them in. So they already have a wear pattern. So if I can set them up and match their wear pattern, I'm good to go. But anyway, I'll continue to set these gears up. I think they're 488s, 456, something like that. I don't know. It's going to be a hunting truck. I think he's got a body lift and 33s. I think he's going to put a set of boggers on it. I think he freshened the motor up. He's redoing all the bearings and seals and brakes and bushings. And he's supposed to come buy the old interior out of my 4Runner because it's all wetlands camo. And I'm going to get rid of the interior anyway because I'm going to chop that dude up and make her a trailer queen. But anyway, that's the business. Little update on some stuff. Solvent tank working. Gears all cleaned up. Ready to build. Set of connecting rods and pistons put together. And some cool air. Cool. Anyway, boys, I'm going to get back to it. May go eat me a sandwich and take me a nap. Let all this diesel fuel dry off these things. May get to it another day, I don't know. But anyway, for now, I'm going to get back to it. We'll see ya.